On days like this, I wish I'd iron my t-shirt. People say I'm crazy, doing what I'm doing. Today we will be going on a little journey to visit an English pub, which is being finished in Dortmund, which is about an hour away from Cologne. So part of my multifaceted life is that since 2013, I've run a British cafe here in Cologne, and the main focus being Cornish pasties, which I import. And it's had its ups and downs, and we're going to talk all about that in many different episodes. But it's a fascinating journey, even though it's probably responsible for the extra grey hairs. Well, of course it is. But it's still somehow going, and people are starting to get interested in pasties. And I'm going to go and visit one of these people this morning, Charles, and talk to him and find out what he's doing, what his project's about, how he's going. And I'm going to hang up now, go and drive. It's about an hour's journey, like I said, and I'm going to head off now. See you when I get there. Bye. So, there I am. Oh, hang on. Hi. So, there I am, arrived in Dortmund. I'm curious to see what this pub is going to be like. The Londoner is what it's called. I think what I'll talk to Charles about, if I remember, is the fact that he's run a lot of pubs in the UK, and now he's living in Germany, and also the fact that as an Englishman over here, I mean, in Germany there's a lot of sort of like Irish pubs that have some sort of half German, half Irish style. Not so authentic, a lot of them. There are some. But you never really get like a proper English pub, you know? One with dirty carpets. No. But there's something different about it. I'm going to talk to him and see what he says about it. It's going to be interesting. Anyway, this is walking down to Dortmund. It's a very sunny day. Look at Dortmund. Very, very, very Dortmundy. Actually, I've been to Dortmund a few times. Depends where you are in there, but it's very interesting buildings, ones that survived the war. But enough of that. Okay, speak soon. And here we are. Wait. This doesn't look like a pub at the moment, but it will be. Oh. What do you call that colour? What's that colour brick thingy?
That is as close to an old English pub in London that I can find.
How's he going to get in Dortmund? Hey, Charles. Nice to see you, mate.
Nice to see you.
All right, we're going to have a chat in a minute. See ya. So I made it. Charles's pub. Looking good, but it's being worked on at the moment. It's a bit noisy, so we've come to a cafe around the corner. Here is Charles. Hello.
Hi there.
He's trained as an actor, you can tell that. So, we were literally just chatting about the fact that you have a cafe, you have a pub. He's run many pubs in his life. We'll talk about that at some point, I guess. And how bloody everyone thinks, oh, it's a bit of fun, it's good. Oh, I always want to have my own cafe. And how much work it is, and how much, you know. And that starts when you start renovating it before you even open it. And I remember that when we first opened the first Tasty Pasty, it was like, oh, this will take a month or 3 months. And it was such a small room. And in the end, it's sort of like 6 months later. And then you're really pushing the deadlines to try and get everything done. I think it's similar for you, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, originally people were asking me when I was going to open, and that was back in October, and I said January.
Yeah.
And now I just say to people it will be open when it's open, because there's no point in putting any deadline on it, because you just every day find something else to do, or something that needs doing, or something that you've just totally forgot about.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's now July, so I mean, you know, it's.
I didn't say what year though. Maybe
No,
I'm not 23.
I'm not saying that. So, I mean, are you confident that it will be done before the end of the summer, do you reckon? Or is it one of those things where you say, no, I definitely now can't say it?
I'm confident for end of August, early September. I think that would be realistic.
Right.
But that's still depending on people doing what they say they're going to do. And with the post-COVID pandemic, it has made everything a lot more difficult. Waiting times for materials, and also for tradespeople, carpenters, plumbers, electricians. They have so much work at the moment, and it's very difficult to find people who will come when you want them to come. So it literally does test your patience. You have to have the patience to say.
Oh, totally. I think the thing is, when things run well, and when a little bit of, start generating a bit of income, you forget all the problems, quite quickly.
Yeah.
But when that dries up, or when that hasn't started, I think your mind is just consistently racing, isn't it? It's sort of like, how do we cope? How do we manage? Is it going to work? Is it worth it all? Have you thought about giving this up at all since you started it?
Many times. Many times.
Stupid question, I reckon.
Yeah, but the problem is now that I'm in so far in debt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's we're in the position now where we just can't go back. We'd have to go forward. It would be silly to.
Oh, that's interesting.
To ditch it.
We can't go back. We have to go forward.
Yeah.
And they say in any business as well, it's all about you have to keep growing as well. And I mean,
yeah,
that's the start though.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a few businesses in my time, and normally the ones that you have to have a big fight over to open the doors or to get going, they normally end up the best ones.
All right.
They normally end up being the best ones. So yeah, it's aggravation.
And those businesses are all in the UK, or were they? What sort of stuff have you done in it? Was it all pubs?
Pubs. But my very first business, I was a mechanic by trade. For my sins, and
it's just let's look at his hands.
Hands in my scar.
Hands? No, not you. Hands. Okay, sorry.
Not you, Hans.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a massive fight, and it was my first ever business, and I'd only just passed my apprenticeship, and they offered me a job, and I said, nah, I'm going to start my own business. And yeah, that was again a testing period for all sorts of different reasons: money, getting things done, mistakes made, which cost time, but that ended up a really good business.
So
I wish I still had it.
Oh. So where there's life, there's hope. I think it's about you have this idea, you have this sort of, let's say, dream, if I say that, and I think on many times along that journey, you have to go back into that original thought and that original motivation and remind yourself why you're doing that and stick at it.
Yeah.
And I think that's often the case, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's no guarantee it's going to work, but there's no guarantee in anything, and
no,
especially with, like, say, Corona, let's say Brexit, things when you're doing imports and stuff, it's made it very difficult. You can obviously foresee some of that, but you can't foresee all of that, and you just got to keep going and try your best, haven't you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
My arm's going to drop off. I don't have a stick or anything. My arm is literally going to drop off, so I'm going to have to pause that. I might come back to you in a second. Or what we do is we go to the pub in a second, and
I thought a man of your means would have had somebody who would hold the phone for us.
Yeah. That's once I've got to my 50,000 subscriber, then maybe I'll do that. I'm up to 10 at the moment.
Good idea.
So, good. We'll go and show you a quick bit of the building site in a minute. All right. See ya.
Cheers.
So this is the walk and talk section.
Barely walk.
Yeah. Well, it was a coffee and a rhubarb. It's not beer. So one of the reasons I set up Tasty Pasty all those years ago with my good friend Paul, who I will also introduce to in another video, because Paul is also fascinating what he does nowadays. He's looking at restoring his old cars, British cars, and timber framed house, whatever. That's another story. But we set it up because we were tired of hearing like all these stereotypical comments about British food and drink, about how bad it was, how tasteless, how bad quality. And that's come from, like, I heard a lot from Germans where I just wasn't impressed myself. I can understand if you were like French or Italian saying that, but it just didn't add up. And I knew there's always artisan food movement in the UK. And I thought, nah, I'm not going to accept that. I'm going to show, not tell. I can't convince them. I have to convince with taste. Do you find that you had the same sort of stereotypes against British beer when you came to Germany?
Yeah, exactly. British beer is, the Germans say, oh, it's too warm, it's not cold enough. But what probably they don't understand is that, the beer is slightly warmer than what it is in Germany. But the beer that they're on about is actually cask ale in England, which is a unique brewing art.
Yeah.
And that has to be served at a certain temperature. And that's probably where they get this warm beer from when they try it in England.
Hang on,
You
I'm
won't-
losing you.
You won't find it anywhere
Let's stop there.
You won't find it anywhere in Germany. It's a British art, car scale,
Right.
totally different process.
Yeah.
And that's probably where they've got warm beer from.
And when I remember a friend of mine had some microbrewery in Stenning, and he had some wonderful beers. Ales he was trying with different flavours like chili and mango and some really interesting stuff that I would never have tasted over here.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why are we so much more creative, or were we, or is that now coming over here as well? What's all that about?
Basically, some real old
ladies down
styles
here.
of beer came back in, and then
Yeah.
you've got a lot of small breweries who started brewing craft beer, hand brewed beer, small batches,
Yeah.
but really good quality, and
Yeah.
that's how it started, just like with IPAs and stuff like that.
All right.
And then basically that exploded in the UK. In America they were a bit in front of us, and then it came over to the UK.
Yeah.
And basically it's the same with anything. When something becomes quite a niche,
Yeah.
everybody jumps on the ladder,
Yeah.
and then they start trying to get a point of difference.
Yeah.
So they say, oh, let's put mango in it. Or
Oh, I
let's-
see.
or let's-
So it's differentiator.
yeah. So it's
But also expression and creativity, in a way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically now is probably one of the best times ever for beer,
Yeah.
not just in Britain but internationally. There were some poor products, and there still are some poor
Yeah.
products. Mainstream beers in the UK,
Yeah.
with huge breweries that are just
Yeah.
churning it out.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's also some great craft beer stories.
And so I just want to ask a question about the beer. Sort of like in Germany, it's very well known here. There's a lot of Irish pubs, sort of pseudo-Irish pubs that sort of like half Irish, half German things. You don't really see many English pubs, but I think you're definitely opening an English pub, right?
Yeah.
It's called the Londoner.
Yeah.
What's gonna set that aside than just a standard sort of Irish pub? And I don't mean that against Irish pubs generally. It's just they're not very authentic. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You know.
I think an Irish pub has a certain atmosphere in Ireland when you go to visit an Irish
Yeah,
pub.
totally.
And I think the big challenge is to try and create a London pub. I mean, London pubs have a different atmosphere and a different look to them to maybe other pubs in England or in Britain. And to try and create that vibe in Germany
Yeah.
is very, very difficult, because you have to hunt for stuff to create that atmosphere and that ambience.
And there's also a preconceived sort of conception of what that's going to be like, and maybe it's not exactly as people think it is.
No. I mean, some London pubs are not very nice. Let's face
Yeah.
it. But there are also some beautiful ones.
Did you manage to bring over like old carpet that's been trodden in? I love it.
Yeah,
But,
sticky carpet.
yeah. It's great with your chips.
No, I think you're not allowed carpet in gastronomy in
Oh, you're not?
Germany.
Oh, you know. Okay.
I don't think.
We are. We're waffling on a bit. I don't want to bore everybody out there, but I find it a fascinating subject, because we've literally, when you live here, you do notice these things. Sometimes whatever gets created becomes quite a sterile environment, because somehow like the old carpet, the whole dirty, that belongs to it a bit,
Yeah.
because there's history
Yeah.
and there's emotion, and pubs are about people, and it's the people who have been there and sort of created that sort of belong to the history of the place and to the present of it as well.
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, there's a lot of history in some of the real old
Yeah.
pubs in London. There's a lot of history there. Some of them, 1800 or 1700,
Yeah, I
have
think
been
that-
stood there, and there's a lot of history to them,
Yeah.
and that sort of creates its own atmosphere, because most of them have stayed the same. Obviously, they've been modernised a little
Yeah.
bit and renovated, but the fascia, the facade, is still pretty much the same as it was back in the day.
Well, you got your work cut out. We'll see a little bit of that in a minute, but it's going to be quite a long video this, so I'm conscious that I'm going to call it a day for now. But I'll show you the
We're
building
good
site.
looking. They can look at us for an hour. Can't
I will come back. We'll show you a little bit inside when we get there, and then we'll come back again when you open and see what you've done with the place.
they?
And we can all sort of like give you a
In
review.
2023.
All right. So here we are at what will be the Londoner. But for now, there is a Londoner here who's going to take us through the door and show us quickly the building site.
Indeed. Come on in.
And hurry up, so we can go in. There you go. And it is a building site, but it's going to be good. This is the building site bit.
Yeah.
Explain anything? Where are the lamps from?
The lamps are actually from IKEA. But I painted them. So.
Okay. But I think what's looking good is this. When you first walk in and you get a nice feel here. The taps are installed. There's a lot of busyness here at the moment. Lots of woodwork being done. Are you on the run from police? Oh, there we go, there's someone doing
Not yet.
And yeah, that's a corner that I would definitely want to come and have a little drink in. One last final message for anybody out there.
Never give up.
Never give up. And at the end of the day, put your feet up and have a drink.
Yeah.
All right. That's quite apt for that song in the background now. Right, thanks for listening again. See you next time around. Hope that was interesting for you. Any questions in the comments below. And yeah, cool. I'll keep you posted on Charles's progress. Bye.